The moment you open your mouth to explain yourself, you have already lost. Think about it. Someone makes a small accusation, a rude comment at a dinner party, a doubt about your skills in a meeting, or a partner twists your words. You feel anger rising inside, your heart beats faster, and your mind says they are wrong, and you must explain. So you speak, you clarify, you give reasons, you justify yourself, and in that exact moment, you lose your power. People do not judge you by the truth of your words, they judge you by how desperate you sound. The person who explains looks weak, and the person who defends accepts that the other person has the right to judge them. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this clearly. Power is not about being right, it is about who controls the situation. The moment you defend yourself, you step into their frame and become the accused in their imaginary court. But what if you did not do that? What if, when someone attacks you, you do the one thing that scares manipulators the most? Most people live like emotional puppets, reacting to other people's opinions. Someone frowns and they apologize, someone accuses and they explain. They are always trying to prove they are good, smart, or worthy, and this way of living slowly kills confidence. But there is another way. A way of living where you are calm, detached, and mentally strong, where insults do not hurt you and disappear before reaching you. This is not about being rude or arrogant, it is about changing where you get your sense of reality from. Today we learn the power of not defending yourself, why your body pushes you to react, and how to control that reaction. Silence is not weakness, it is strength, and it can shake the other person's ego. But be careful, this means killing a habit you learned as a child, the need to be understood, and the need for approval. When you remove that need, you become untouchable. So why do we explain ourselves? It starts in childhood, when a parent or teacher blamed you, and the only escape was explaining. You learned that authority decided your safety, and that explanation meant survival. You grew up, but the habit stayed. Now you treat your boss, partner, strangers online, and even enemies like authority figures. When you defend yourself, you are silently saying that they are the judge, and you need their approval to feel safe. This feels weak, and humans can sense weakness easily. Machiavelli said it is safer to be feared than loved, and in modern life this means it is safer to be respected than understood. When you explain too much, you choose understanding over respect. A king does not explain his decisions, and a lion does not explain its hunt. When you give long reasons and proofs, you show that your confidence depends on their agreement, and you hand them control. You believe that if you explain clearly, they will understand and accept you. But that almost never happens because the attack was never about truth. It was about power. They accused you to see if you would react, and you did. The first step to becoming untouchable is realizing there is no court, no judge, and no jury, only you and your view of reality. When you stop treating others like judges, their accusations lose their power. They start sounding like opinions, and opinions are just noise. So what happens when you do not react? Imagine this. Someone attacks you with words and says, "You are being very selfish right now." The old version of you would immediately defend yourself and say, "No, I am not. I did so much for you yesterday." And you would sound tired, defensive, weak, and reactive. Now imagine a different approach. They say you are being very selfish right now. You look at them, you hold eye contact, your face stays neutral, and you say nothing. You let the silence stay for 3, 4, 5 seconds. That silence creates pressure. The human brain hates silence during conflict because it means the other person is not playing the usual game. When you stay silent, you force them to sit with the tension they created. Most of the time, they will speak again to fill the silence and start explaining themselves. They may say, "I mean, you are not always selfish. Just right now, why are you looking at me like that?" Now they are defending themselves against your silence. The power has shifted. This is the grey rock method taken to a higher level. You become empty space, and empty space cannot be attacked. When you refuse to defend yourself, their attack passes through you and throws them off balance. This takes strong self-control because inside your ego is shouting to fight back and say something smart, but you must control that urge. Machiavelli knew that the most powerful person in the room is the one who cannot be read. When you defend yourself, you show what hurts you and what matters to you. If you shout, "I am not stupid," they learn that intelligence is your insecurity. If you say, "I am not a bad person," they learn that morality is your weak spot. Silence shows nothing. It acts like a dark mirror, and when they look into it, they only see their own aggression reflected back, which makes them uncomfortable. Sometimes silence alone is not enough, and sometimes you must speak, but never in a defensive way. If you speak, you do not push back, you pull. This is like using mental aikido. There is a technique called agree and amplify. When someone accuses you of something ridiculous, defending yourself makes the accusation feel serious. Instead, you exaggerate it until it becomes a joke. If someone says you are greedy and obsessed with money, the weak response is to explain yourself. The strong response is to say, "Yes, you caught me. I swim in a pool of gold coins every Tuesday. It is terrible for my back." You say it calmly or with a small smile. By doing this, you refuse to feel insulted, you show that you are not insecure, and you take control of the situation. You turn their attack into humor, and they lose their weapon. This shows amused mastery, which is a sign of high status. It is like watching a child throw a tantrum. You do not argue with the child, you are calm because you know you are safe. When you defend yourself, you lower yourself to their level. Do not do that. Stand above it. Robert Greene talks about recreating yourself and refusing the identity others try to force on you. When someone labels you, they are trying to put you in a box. If you fight the box, you are still stuck in it. If you mock it, the box disappears. If they say you are arrogant, you can say, "I prefer confidently charming," but sure. If they say you only care about yourself, you can say, "I am working on it. I will add you to my care list next year." This works because it shows you are complete and do not need approval. A person who knows they are generous laughs when called stingy, and a person who knows they are smart laughs when called stupid. If you feel the need to defend, it is because deep down you fear they might be right, and that is something you must work on internally. Now understand this deeper truth. Every conflict has a hidden structure. There is usually a judge and a defendant. The judge asks questions and the defendant answers. The one asking questions holds the power, and the one answering loses status. The most powerful move is to refuse being the defendant. You do this by answering questions with questions or by analyzing their behavior instead of explaining yours. If someone says, "Why are you always late?" the weak answer is to explain traffic or excuses. The strong answer is to ask why your arrival time affects their mood so much. Suddenly the focus shifts from your behavior to their reaction. If they call you ridiculous, you can ask why they feel the need to use labels to make their point. You are now observing them calmly instead of defending yourself. This frustrates manipulators because they want control. Phrases like that is an interesting way to see it. Or does saying that make you feel better, acknowledge their words but reject their meaning? You are saying this is your emotion, not mine. This is not just a technique, it is a mindset. Other people's opinions about you are not your responsibility. Their anger and disappointment belong to them. When you defend yourself, you try to fix their feelings for them. Stop doing that. Let them carry their own emotions. And here is the paradox. Sometimes the strongest and most power-shifting move you can make is to agree, but not in a weak way. This is not agreement that comes from weakness. It is agreement that comes from strength. Imagine someone is shouting at you and listing all your flaws, trying to start a fight. You look at them calmly and say, "You're right," and then you stop talking. "You're right, I can be difficult sometimes. You're right, I did mess that up." This is called the fogging technique. When someone throws a stone into fog, nothing happens. There is no sound and no reaction. When you agree with an attacker, you take away their momentum. They expect resistance. They want a fight, because resistance makes their anger feel justified. Agreement kills that anger. But here is the important point. You agree only with the truth, not with the shame they are trying to put on you. There is a big difference between admitting a mistake and accepting an insult. If someone says you messed up this report and you are incompetent, the weak response is to defend yourself. The strong response is to say, you're right, the report has errors, I will fix it. Notice you did not accept the label incompetent. You owned the action, not the identity. This shows real confidence. Only secure people can admit mistakes easily. Insecure people fight hard to prove they are perfect. This completely disarms the attacker. When you put your weapon down, they look foolish holding theirs. You look calm and stable, and in the long run, calm people always win. But this only works if it is real. If your voice shakes or your body language shows fear, it will fail. Most communication is not words, it is presence. That brings us to the real reason insults hurt. They hurt because they touch something inside you that you have not accepted yet. If someone calls you something completely false, you laugh. But if you defend yourself, it means a part of you fears it might be true. The strongest defense is self-knowledge. When you accept your flaws honestly, no one can use them against you. If you know you can be selfish sometimes and someone calls you selfish, you simply say sometimes, yes. A person who accepts themselves fully cannot be shamed. That is what being untouchable means. You are no longer something that needs protection. You become like the wind, things pass through you. Now here is the challenge. For the next 7 days, do not defend yourself. If you are late, say I'm late, no explanation. If you make a mistake, say I made a mistake, no excuses. If someone misunderstands you, let them. Feel the discomfort and do not fix it. Watch what happens. People will first feel confused, then they will respect you, and then they will feel drawn to you. Because nothing shows confidence more than someone who does not need to explain themselves. You stop being the child seeking approval and become the sovereign who owns their space. The world will try to provoke you, because it loves reactions. Do not give it one. Keep your silence, keep your mystery, keep your power. If you are tired of explaining yourself, defending your worth, and shrinking to make others comfortable, then you are in the right place. Like this video, share it with people who think deeply, and subscribe. What we build here is not loud motivation, it is quiet power.